This episode is dedicated to our Aunt RiShana, our sunshine.
That's love.
Wonderful things, Lord, that you're doing for this family, Father. We thank you so much, Father, for Matthew Noah and the ministry that they have, Father, young and informed. So, Father, I ask you in a special way to continue to bless them as they touch hearts and minds of young people, the next generation, as they lead, Father, what they say, who they interview, and the different messages and vibes they put out. Bless them, Father, and keep them. And bless the queen of the home also, Lord, that's in charge of everybody here. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Okay, sit down, y'all. One more time. I'm gonna let him do two more times. I'm telling y'all when y'all come up, y'all better go after Kaimani. I'm telling you. You ready, Kaimani?
Yes,
Back hand's gonna be alright?
yes.
Front kick. Front punch. Yay! One more time.
Hello everyone, welcome to our Conversations with podcast. Today we have an amazing guest and sensei, so I would like all of you guys to welcome the amazing Sensei Jeff. Hey Sensei, how are you today?
I'm good. It's good to see you all. You all got a little taller. It's great to see you all. He actually caught up to you in height, it looks like.
Yeah.
Great to see you guys.
It's great to see you too. So, to start off today's interview or conversation, I just wanted to ask you to tell us a little bit about yourself and where you're from.
Well, I'm born in Brooklyn, Elton Street, East New York. Born in Brooklyn Jewish Hospital, but I'm raised in Queens Village. I'm a product of Queens. I went to 147, 192, August Martin, Queensboro, and Baruch.
Right.
So I have a family, a beautiful wife. I have 3 beautiful, amazing children, and I'm here. I'm retired, and I'm doing what I love doing.
It's amazing. Before you were a karate instructor and as a karate student, what lessons would stick out to you the most?
That's a great question. When I started taking karate because I was from a generation where there was a lot of fighting, a lot of bullying, a lot of different things going on, not just in my grade, but in my brother's grade. I didn't like the idea of anybody trying to physically harm anybody for no reason. So one day I went to the library and picked up this book, How to Teach Yourself Karate. I started teaching myself kicks. And by the time I learned how to do kicks, I signed up in a karate school, but I already knew how to kick. I advanced very quickly. I did a lot of competition. My reasons for getting karate initially was actually defending myself against 4 or 5 people and look good while I did it. That was my initial reason for doing it. Of course, my life changed and it evolved, like everything that you become a part of. I never initially thought I would be a karate instructor. I was very selfish in the beginning of my martial arts journey because it was about me. It wasn't until I got inside the New York City Police Department that I was very busy as an officer, arresting adults, arresting males, arresting children. It was a guilty feeling. So I asked myself how I could give back. Karate is something that I was very good at. And I saw karate as a way to holistically reach young people because everybody wants to learn how to fight. Everybody wants to learn karate. But God has blessed me in a way to woven my karate school in almost 30 years of being holistically connecting a person's character as well as their karate. Karate, kicking and punching is the bottom line if God forbid you have to defend yourself. But the main purpose of karate, Shotokan karate, was the development of character. So I saw how it helped me. And I was the first one that was blessed by it. So I said to myself, wow, it kept me busy. It kept me out of trouble. It kept me self-accountable. It kept me always looking to prove myself. If I could transfer that on to young people and grown people through karate and boxing and kickboxing, I felt that God would be pleased with my thought process. And when I opened up this dojo, I had 8 pastors come from the Northeastern Conference of Seventh-day Adventists, some of the Seventh-day Adventists. And I started teaching karate first in the gym of the church. I had to get approval from a youth director to approach the conference because it was unheard of for me to teach or anybody teach karate in a Seventh-day Adventist school or Seventh-day Adventist church. Fast forward, I did it for 4 years. I outgrew it. Praise God. I decided to open a school in Murray Boulevard. People thought I was crazy. Karate in Murray? Yeah. I had a vision. And nobody could block my vision. God gave me that vision. When I opened up the school, the first thing I did was have 8 pastors from the Northeastern Conference and Seventh-day Adventists pray on every single thing in this environment. For me to put this together required a real commitment. I wasn't a fly-by-night instructor. I second mortgaged my house. Took a lot of money from my mortgage to put the school together. It was my own money. I didn't get it from anybody. So I built the top, we designed it, the top and the bottom. And I'm going on probably 26, 27 years here. And it's been a blessing.
Wow.
It's been a blessing.
Wow.
Just seeing you guys is a blessing because even though I don't train you anymore, we had a great time. And I know that the values that I instill for your character development, your academics, your goals, your behavior, is still relevant because I see it on the ground. So that was the purpose. And seeing you guys is a blessing of what not I've done, but what God has done with me to do with you and many others.
Right.
I hope I answered your question.
Yeah. Yes, you did. So, I just wanted to ask, like that character development that you saw in yourself when you first started to, really take karate seriously.
Mm-hmm.
How do you make sure that that's applied to kids that you teach today, or kids that you've taught in the many years that you've been doing this?
Well, that's a great question. Most karate school owners, they have a business number. Every parent in this dojo has my cell number, just like your father does. Every single parent that comes in my dojo, we kind of co-parent you when you get on my floor because they let me know what your behavior is at home. They let me know what your behavior is in school. I look at your report cards. One of the most important things, of course, is your grades, but also what the teacher says about you. If there's any adjustment, we make it either very clearly or very subconsciously. If your father tells me something, you won't know he tells me because while I'm training you, I'm interjecting in your head different goals that I'm looking for while I have you at the height of your attention, mentally and physically.
Right.
But if there's a clear message, which I never had to give any one of y'all a clear message, I'll tell you clearly, this is what we're doing. This is what better be done. If this is not done, you will no longer be a part of this environment. I'm very quick and I'm very strict with certain things because if you're on my floor and you're doing fantastic, there's no reason why you walk out the door. You will carry that same fantastic spirit. Every child knows when they walk inside my dojo, just like a school. When you walk inside that door, you gotta have focus. When you get in this line right here, you better have extra focus. When you get on my floor, you better have super focus. But that's not just in my dojo. It's not my dojo. That's when you go to school. When you get the front door of your school, you better be focused. You get the front door of your classroom, you better have extra focus. And when you walk inside that door, you better be super focused. And your spirit and your energy should say in a very, 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 very positive way to your teachers, I'm here. So I'm not gonna yell because usually I shock everybody. I yell at the top of my lungs. When I get everybody to be quiet, I get the parents to be quiet. I say when you walk inside an environment, any environment, you should say, I'm here. I usually yell it out, but I won't because it'll frighten both of you. But that's what should happen. Because you should know when you walk inside of any environment, that environment better be a better place because you walked in it. All the interviews that I do for children and all the recommendations for colleges that people reach out to me for, the last part of my sentence is, if that child that I know to be who that child is, it will be a blessing to any environment you put them into.
Yeah, that's a powerful way to, make sure kids stay on top of their craft and,
Accountability.
Accountability. And coming from experience, I do remember times where, like, when I would come into karate practice, it would be like, you would never tell us if we had to work on something specifically, but I always knew that there were some, like subtle messages that you were trying to teach us when you were instructing us.
Yeah, because the standards here are off the charts, you know? Like unlimited standards. So you already know the vibe when you step into this dojo.
I'm glad you say that. People walk in sometimes and they say, yeah, I'm just here to take karate. But it don't work like that anymore. When you were coming in, I took anybody who walked inside the door and I had to make it work. You can't get on my floor like that anymore. I have to do an assessment first because I'm also a life coach. I've always life coached. I've always counseled, but I went and got a certification as a life coach. And when you come in here, if you're a parent and you just want to get your child an activity, I tell them to go down the block to another school. I tell them to go down and check out the school. If a parent walks inside of me and says, I've checked out your competition, my response is, what competition? Competition. My background, my education, my life experience, my karate experience, my karate reputation. Not many people can match it in Queens or maybe even in the city. And I hope that doesn't sound cocky, but I'm very confident of who I am and what I do. So when somebody comes to me and tries to tell me, yeah, we looked at this, we looked at your competition, I time them out very quickly. What competition? And then when you start talking and I start telling you different things and you start giving me objections and you make it seem like you're just saying to put your kid in activity, but you're not really investing in your child, then I automatically pick that up based on my experience. And I kind of comfortably usher you in a different direction. Like your father, he's always invested in you. Your father invested in you now. Everything that you do comes from an investment of your father. If your father wasn't who he was to you, and he didn't co-work with me, we wouldn't be having this conversation. Because I would love your father, but I wouldn't respect him. And that may sound harsh. I have a lot of respect for your father, but there's fathers that come in here and sometimes they kind of get it wrong. So they have to know and understand, based on what you said, it's not a standard. Well, there's a real standard. So everybody can't walk on my floor. Those days are gone. When I had a black beard, I could do it. You know, my patience is not the same anymore. And, you know, this is not a drop-off school. That any day, just like when your father brought you and your mother came, it was always crowded. Because not only are you being accountable to me, and not only are you accountable to yourself, you also be accountable to your parents. And when you see your parents, like you've always seen your father's always in the shadows of the things that you do, then you always know, Daddy got my back. Mommy got my back. That's powerful. So that's the difference with me. If you tell, yeah, I can't really come, yeah, you might want to check somebody else out. Because I've been doing this too long and I know it works. And nobody wants to pay me for 6 months for something I can accomplish in 3. Nobody wants to give me 3 extra months. They want to pay me well for what I do. So there's the responsibility. There is the, when you put yourself in a position where your standard's high, not everybody's walking inside my dojo. And that's okay. Because if your standard as a parent isn't high, your expectations are high, you don't really believe in investing in your child, I'm not the right school for it.
Well, I just want to know, what are your teaching methods? Because, I mean, not to brag, but we are evidence that your teachings have implemented strong physical and mental strength into your students. So I just want to know, what are your methods for teaching and implementing focus into your students?
I'm an assertive teacher. I'm very assertive. I'm assertive and I'm lovingly demanding. Because if I see you have potential, I'm not waiting for it, I want it. So my method is not like most. Oh, we'll let him keep doing what he's doing for a couple of months and we'll clean him up. That's not my mentality. My mentality is the minute you walk in my dojo, the minute you sign up, let's get to work. And the quicker we get to work, the quicker I get you on board, the quicker you grow. And once I have you on track to be promoted, everything that represents that promotion, I got to get a confirmation from your mother and your father that you have improved since you walked inside my dojo based on what God does with me to do with you. If that's not really evident, we have a problem. So I'm very assertive. I'm not waiting for 2 weeks for somebody to get 1 week. So you hear my voice. You hear my passion. You hear my energy. Even sitting down talking to me, you hear my energy. Because I'm very serious about training anybody who walks in my dojo because they're seeking something. And I have a responsibility to the parents to give you the best of myself. Not to shuck and jive, not to fake it. It's got to be the best. And at the end of the day, when everybody goes home, I'm still sitting in my office, reviewing my day, reviewing my classes, reviewing my mental notes, reviewing my notes, looking at my accomplishments, looking at what was a positive thing happened today, what I got to work on, who I got to work on, who I got to be more accountable for, who I got to push more before I go home. Because if I don't get off my head before I get inside my house, then it becomes very hard for me to sleep because all these kids and all these adults and all these people's on my head. So my days have to be productive. They have to be productive. And if they're productive, based on my professionalism, I'm getting results quickly.
Right.
I hope I'm not giving y'all too much.
No.
Okay.
So, we know that you hold kickboxing classes.
Mm-hmm.
So, I just wanted to ask, like, what techniques or drills in those kickboxing classes do you teach that are different to what we learn in Shotokan karate?
I'm glad you answered that question. I don't teach children kickboxing, only adults.
Yeah.
That's number one. Number two, I only know how to kick one way. That's Shotokan. I only know how to punch one way. Shotokan. But I also know how to box. I spent 5 years training with a professional boxer. So I can throw my karate techniques from distances. But if I get close, I can throw boxing techniques also. And I can add them. If you've seen me on Instagram, I can do different things on a drill that is very similar to karate. So if your father, say, comes to my kickboxing class, he's going to work on cardio. He's going to work on conditioning. He's going to work on distance. He's going to work on muscle growth. He's going to work on timing. But he's also going to know how to defend himself very comfortably. Because all the combinations that I put together is a combination of the boxing and the karate. Like most people that do boxing, they do Muay Thai kicks. I don't do push kicks. You know my kicks snap. They have to snap because I have to kick again or punch again and keep moving. So the combination of when you do something, as long as I've done something, right? And I've been doing this for almost 40 years, it becomes a part of you. So when it becomes a part of you, I do what I know works for me. So then other people, because karate and martial arts, they've been around for years and years. But when you do it for a certain amount of time, you make it your own. And you agree with certain things that work with you, or you see other things that work with other people. You kind of formalize it into your own way of doing it. I'm not saying I have my own karate system. I follow the traditions of Shotokan karate. But when it comes to boxing, I follow the basics of boxing. But when I put it together, I put it together my way. Like I put something on Instagram, and there's a lot of martial arts that like it, they love it, they like it. Because once you teach me a boxing combination, I got to kick. I got to throw a kick in there. And once I do the kick, the other part of it is, I got to take you down and finish it. So that's it in a nutshell. And I'm talking, of course, from me on my level, because I've been doing this for a long time. On your level, it's always about kata and kumite. That's what it is. Until you mature, then I teach you more self-defense. Block, strike, takedown, finish. That doesn't happen until you show me maturity and the foundation of your blueprint and your character and your behavior. See, a lot of people ask, well, how come you don't got other black belts? One time I had 8 other teachers here. I have 8 teachers here. And most of my instructors, when they come up, I push them to excel. So they go into the Harvards, they go into the Yale, they go into the Sophie Davis, they go into the college. They're doing great things. They go into the Howards, they go into the Morgan States, they go into the Morehouse, because I push them to excel. The generations before me, most martial arts instructors are very selfish. They kept the students, they formulated their schools for the students just to work at the dojo. The whole purpose of me doing this with you all is for you to fly. So when you fly, that doesn't necessarily mean you stand. And that's fine. Tyler came in last night. He got his degree, get 2 master's degree and become a lawyer. I'm happy because he came back to me to let me know what he's doing, which means my legacy is going to move on. There will be other instructors. I'm making 5 black belts soon. They just tested and passed for the black belt. So I'm going to start formulating more people to teach, so I can have more balance in my life. Because my daughter's in Howard. My son is going to medical school. My other son is doing honor society, playing basketball. So everybody's excelling, and I don't want to give up teaching, but in everything that you do, you have to find balance. So I'm looking at this stage just for more balance. I only teach 4 days a week now. I don't teach 5 days a week. I don't teach on weekends because I need my peace. I need my help, and I need to make sure I'm around for my children and my wife and my family. It's about balance now.
Right. Yeah, it's about balance is really important, because if you spend your whole time, focusing, because what you do is already amazing, but if you spend all your time focusing on one thing like this, and then you miss out on important family events or family news, things like that, then it's really detrimental. It's not really a good thing to do.
It's a great point. That's a great point. At the end of the day, I remember one day I said I'm going on vacation, and one parent said, "Well, then what's going to happen?" And I said, "Well, the light goes on around 6 o'clock every night. The sidewalk should be clear. Y'all can practice on the sidewalk. I won't be here, because if I continue to pour into everybody else's child, and my children go to garbage, what did I accomplish?" So there has to be a balance. I'm very protective at this stage of my life with balance, because nobody is promised tomorrow. Nobody. So you have to make impact on people, but also those you love. I said a couple of maybe months ago, you might have seen this on Instagram. I said, when I wake up in the morning, I report to God. That's first. Then I report to myself. Then I report to my immediate family. Then I report to my extended family. And then I report to my enemies. And everybody's like, enemies? Whenever you're trying to do God's work, you got enemies. You always got enemies. Every time you try to do something good, you always got enemies. But I know the priorities and the stages of my order of who I report to. Because if it wasn't for God, I wouldn't wake up. Right. And what am I going to do for me? Then what am I going to do for the immediate people that I love? Then what am I going to do for the extended people that I love? And then what am I going to do for my enemies? It's kind of weird, but that's people, wow, yeah, that's what it is. You got to know yourself. And as you get busy and you get busier, people are going to try to distract you with different things. You got to know who you are. And you can't be afraid to say no. And everybody that calls me on the phone, I don't pick up the phone. I have to talk to everybody. I have to return every phone call. You after a while have to be very protective of your mental health, of your physical health, and your well-being. Because not everybody that approaches you means you good.
That's powerful.
Yeah. Well, you've been in our community for many, many generations. So, what continuously fuels you and motivates you to empower our families?
It's a great question, bro. It's a great question. Honestly, when I have one example of success that I'm reminded of, it fuels me. I just got something. I got a phone call about 4 weeks ago. And I just got a text this morning. It's in my office, so I didn't want to walk away from your camera. And I would let you read. I would let you read it. Impact. When you impact somebody's life, it fuels you to keep going. I got a phone call about a month ago, 3 weeks ago. He said, "This is such and such." He says, "You won't remember me, but I was here a long time ago when I was 11 years old. I just drove by and saw the school is still there. I was a knucklehead of a student. You tried to talk to me, I wouldn't listen. My father tried to talk to me, listen. My big brother signed me up. I wouldn't listen. I just got out of jail. I did 8 years in prison. But I want to tell you something, Sensei. What you said to me when I was younger, the second year, you were in my head, and it kept on ringing what you said. And everything that you said made sense. I wish I would have listened. And I said, you're 32 years old now. Your life isn't over. You still got a chance. I expect to see him sooner or later. But at this juncture, he called me up. He's 30-something years old now. I had him at 11. There's no price that you can pay. I've been in different big jobs in the city. But people don't remember you after 5 to 8 years. People remember me for my life, for what I've done, what I've given them. I just got a text. I would read it to you, but I don't want to get away from the camera. But a young lady just sent me something. And I trained her father first for a little while, and I trained her. I haven't seen this girl in years. I haven't seen her in years. She just sent me a message on Instagram thanking me for what I did and the thoughts that I gave her back then. I had somebody walk by the other day. She's graduated Virginia State. She just said, I've been trying to come by, just thank you. I don't even know who I'm talking to. She graduated college. She told me she was with me when she was 11. I don't remember children like that unless they've been with me for a long time, like y'all, or a significant amount of time. She said, I've been coming by, I've been trying to thank you for what you did, instilling discipline for me and my brother, because we needed it, and it helped me graduate college. That's what brings me back. It brings me back because I'm constantly reminded that God has a purpose for me to be here. I was offered two big positions in the city. And when the person in the middle of the offer, he said, you know, Jeff, he said, what God does with you to do in Merritt Boulevard, that's where you belong, brother. You don't belong here. I said, you're right. Absolutely right. Because when I'm gone, people remember what I've done. Impacting people's lives. You can't put a price on that.
Wow, that's powerful. I mean, 20-something, like from 11 to 33 is crazy. You know, like that's 22 years. And it just shows that, you know, you've been committed to your craft for a long time. And that, you know, like the way that you know, teach kids and, you know, inspire kids is really powerful because it carries with them 20 years later. We also know that you've won many awards recently, so can you tell us what those awards are about and what they mean to you?
Wow. I had a citation of honor from Donovan Rich's office, the Queensborough president. It was an honor to be noticed. It was an honor. When I went, I was expecting to be on a line of at least 5 to 10 different business owners. I was the only one that got the award for business, and it kind of made me very emotional. I actually got nervous because, well, I'm the only one, and they said that they have heard so much about what I've done in the community that they wanted to make it special. And so they honored me for Black History Month, what I've done in the community all these years. And then a couple of months after, I was given an opportunity to give a Father's Day speech in the church. A couple of years ago, one of the young ladies in the church saw me do something. I addressed a young man, and he was sitting down in a chair. And the minute he gave me grip, I popped him out of the chair. And she noticed it. And she said, those lessons aren't taught anymore. And I told her I only know it one way. First and foremost, I want to give thanks to God for all the years of his protection in the places that I was supposed to be, and the places I wasn't supposed to be. And thank God for his protection. Secondly, I want to thank my father, Dr. Emil Hunt. When I was an adolescent, I wasn't easy. And my father wasn't easy. And I got spankings and beatings. Grounded. My father told me at 22 years old, he said, Jeff, I was afraid. I knew all the drug dealers. Everybody on my block who went to jail. I was very influential. My father apologized. I told my father, don't apologize.
Yes, sir.
I said, you gave me what I needed to be where I was supposed to be. And when I finished, it kind of surprised me. Went for the word from the Assemblywoman Sabina Brooks's office here, and the person that presented to me, he was a child in church, and I've always come back to the younger ones in the church, and he mentioned that I mentored a lot of the young men in the church, and he brought up a point that really had made me hold back my tears, because when he was in a program and he went away to school, he couldn't graduate because he owed money. So he called me and asked me, can I give him the money? Can I lend him the money? I said, I'm not lending you the money. Tell me how much it is. And I paid it off. I forgot about it. It was years. And he brought it back up, and I held back my tears. God blesses you when you give. I do my best to give. So that was the other award, and it's nice to be recognized. It is nice to be recognized. That's not what fuels me. What fuels me is when people remind me of what impact that I've given them, that God has allowed me to give them. That's what brings me back. You know, that whole statement, if you can only save one person, it sounds so corny, but that's what you always go back for. Just try to save one person. That's what it is.
Right.
You remember, we never start class without prayer. We never finish class without prayer, because I believe that God blesses everyone who walks through those doors. So we have to recognize all that we do.
Amen. Amen. Well, what advice would you give to the youth about hard work and positivity?
That's key. Hard work and positivity. As the generations go on, Google, AI, IT, all these things are supposed to make your life easier. The problem is, if you never know how to work hard, you don't ever know the difference. So you should always put yourself in a position of hard work, because you appreciate what you have. And you always got to keep a positive mindset. When my daughter filled out her application for college, she saw I went to Queensboro. I left Queensboro, had space off. I went to Baruch, then I finally graduated. It took me 12 years of night school to get my degree. 12 years. So my daughter called up my wife frantic. She was like, Ma, there's no way that Daddy started here and he took 12 years. It just doesn't make sense. My wife said, yeah. Father worked hard. I took classes part-time and worked full-time, even when I was a police officer. People call me all the time and say, listen, we got this thing to make your life easier. That automatically turns me off. I'm from the generation of your father where I don't want it easy. I don't want it easy. Because just like when I got my degree, most people, when they graduate, they owe money. I didn't owe anybody a dime. I graduated Baruch College. I didn't owe nobody a dime. I worked, I paid, and I went to school. And when I finished, I was done. And when I left, nobody could take that from me. Nobody could take my hard work from me. And nobody could make me feel that I owed anybody anything, because I left owing nothing because of my hard work. And when you know you work hard for something, there's no way you could be shaken from anything you earn. So be very careful, because your generation is about easy, getting it done, quick. There's certain things that you want to do that way, but whenever you're in a situation where you get to challenge yourself, you should do so.
I also wanted to ask, the pandemic was a major challenge for us all. So, you're back to normal now. The dojo's fully back open, and you're progressing as COVID never happened. But I just wanted to know, how did you survive the pandemic?
When the pandemic happened, it's rough initially, because what happened was, I'm a person that when things come, I don't jump and get nervous. So I jumped in denial at first. The people calling were nervous, and I was nah, it's gonna be okay. It got bad. The problem was, right before that Monday when the city ordered everybody to shut down, I just spent $6,000 downstairs doing downstairs over. So I was excited to have 2 floors. So I was finished on that Friday. I was ready to start using it on Monday. We got shut down on the weekend. It said there'll be no schools, no dojos, nothing open. That was the first problem. Second thing was online teaching. I had to lead, and it was hard. And I was teaching online. It was very difficult, because most of the people I'm on top of and I connect with them. So that was rough. Then people started phoning off. Then people didn't really want to pay. So then, when we finally started clearing up, I started teaching karate in the park. And the park was a great, great thing. And I kept teaching in the park until we transitioned back. But the thing that kept me going was, why do I do this? What's my purpose? What's the reason why I do this? And if you didn't have purpose and passion, you were done. Because a lot of karate owners closed because it was just about the money. But once the money gone, they were finished. So I had to ask myself, why do I do what I do? Because I have a purpose. My purpose is changing lives. And I do it with my passion. I had a kid go to school in Tampa, and he left me sharp as a knife. He went down, and their standard wasn't like my standard. And it was terrible. It was terrible. And his father asked him, what was the difference between you with Sensei Hunt and here? Sensei Hunt is more animated, more passionate about what he does. Because I can't get you to do what you do unless I'm excited about it. If I just came in sloppy and did a couple moves and said, you do it, why would you do it better than me if you didn't see me do it well? And I didn't force you to push to your very personal best. The pandemic just revealed who was who. It revealed why you taught karate. If you just taught karate for money, you gone. If you had a purpose, you fought through it. If you had a passion, you fought through it. And think about this. Think about this. When you trained with me, I pushed you. Did I not?
You did.
I pushed you, right? Some days you were happy with me, right?
Yeah.
Some days you weren't happy with me. But when you finally settled in, if I didn't see something great in you, then I just sat you aside. But I saw greatness in both of you, so I pushed. Imagine if the minute it got difficult for me, I quit. I'd have been the biggest hypocrite of Merrick Boulevard. I'm pushing you to do your best. It gets rough for me and I just quit. That would have said something about me. That would have said I was phony. I ain't phony.
Right.
We got through it, thank God. We're back to it. Was it hard? It was hard. It was hard. It was hard. But nothing in life is easy that's worth anything. It's never been easy. And even all the blessings, the PPP and all these different stuff that you got, the government's funny. The government give you stuff. But one way or another, they want it back. So they helped. But once again, if you don't have a purpose in what you do, If you don't have passion in what you do, eventually will dissolve. Because the environment and the challenge will dictate if you're able to deal with it or not.
Right. You know, I do remember the quarantine classes we would do, you know, during the pandemic. I remember we would be in our living room with our dojos on, in the middle of the living room, looking at the laptop in front of us, trying to still, you know, practice our karate. It's kind of a funny memory to me. It's crazy that it went from like us as little kids here in this dojo to us learning through a computer.
It's difficult, and you know, I applaud you guys for doing it. But you always need somebody experienced on top of you to get the very best out of you. Because what you think is your best, a person that really knows what he's doing, they know what your best is. In other words, you could be at 80%. Oh, I'm good. But if you're in front of me, I'm getting 95 out of you. That's just what it is.
Before we go, feel free to drop your social media tags or anywhere where the fans can find you. You have the floor.
The fans. Well, I always encourage folks before they come into me to do your research. Google Jeff Hunt Karate. And when you Google, you'll see the website. It'll connect to the website. It'll connect you to the Google page. It'll connect you to the reviews. Do your research and then contact me. And also, if you're interested in looking at some classes that I perform, Jeff Hunt Karate, Instagram. I also have Jeff Hunt Karate, Karate on Facebook. It's automatically connected. So if you're really looking for something in Laurelton, Cambria Heights, Jamaica, Laurelton, Rosedale, Rochdale, this side of Queens, it's easy to find me if you're ready to invest in your child.
Well, you heard him, everyone. Make sure to go check him out on all of those platforms if you're ready to invest in your child. But that's basically all the questions we have for you today. We appreciate you for coming on. We appreciate everyone for watching. We hope everybody has an amazing day. Goodbye.
Peace.
Before we go, Blake boys,
Strong boys.
Blake boys,
Strong boys.
Team Blake.
Love.
Push!
Us.
Push!
What's alive?
Begin.
Cut! Cut! Die! Cut! 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 Die! Die! Cut! 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 Die!
Attentively. Pretty sure that was.
Us!